Okay, and action.
So, what happened behind the scenes then, Steve?
That's a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's okay. We're going to just cut. It's literally just for a couple of These are rechargeable.
I leave there. This is creepy. I'm literally holding you in case you fall down.
As a member of Well Film Productions, local writer and musician Steve Waye earlier this year suggested the club produce a music video to go with the instrumental composition he was due to release in September. The club enthusiastically agreed and immediately started planning the project. The film was released in September 2015 and can now be found on YouTube.
Well, the idea of the video is that it's a moment in time. It's when you're driving through a shopping centre and you see something happening, you see a fight or you see somebody going into a shop and you never know what the outcome of that was.
Yep. And rolling and action.
There was plenty of pre-production work with storyboards, script writing and production planning, including a day when the producers, directors, Steve and the camera crew scoured the local waterways for suitable sites and locations. All film locations were assessed and eventually agreed, together with arranging a narrowboat and chase boat to film from.
Lucy, go.
Extra filming equipment was borrowed, actors arranged and 2 separate film crews were organised for a weekend in late May.
Steve, go.
With one to film the music video and one to show this behind the scenes insight into how the film was made.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great.
I think the hardest part of putting the video together was bringing everyone together to make sure that we could plan everything properly, really. We're a very varied bunch of filmmakers. Some of us work full time, some of us study full time, some of us look after the rest of us full time, and it was extremely difficult to get people to meet up all together to get the plan going.
I enjoyed most of the aspects of making the film, but my background is more to do with sound. So I'm quite confident about doing all the stuff to do with sound and microphones and things like that. Although obviously I'm, learning like everybody else.
Well, because Steve explained it quite well to me beforehand, I'd been thinking about it and tried to sort of imagine what this chat would be like. So when we started filming, I hope I more or less switched into it. We'll tell when we see the results.
Well, I wrote scripts for television for a while back. I wrote for The Bill and EastEnders and some other ones. I've also had albums out with various bands and some solo records and stuff. So all those kind of things, really. Well, I'm not really an actor. I'm playing myself, really. So that's kind of an easy thing for me to do, really. So far, I haven't come across any negative, but the positives are, that I think we're doing really good quality work, and I hope that the whole thing comes together and shows that it's good quality work.
Logistically, it was quite difficult to pull the shoot together. We depended very much on Dan, who had in his mind as the director exactly what wanted to happen, and Steve, who is the composer of the music and the writer of the script. So they had to do most of the work. And then the rest of us, waited until they got their ideas in mind and were able to find out what we were going to contribute.
Yeah, I'd say it's changed a lot. I'm quite pleased with how it's come out. I think that it could be better in some ways, but I think for our first kind of major production, it's done really well, and I think it's been a good learning curve for everyone.
Well, I guess it's pretty fun to like be young and in charge because it's just surreal and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, it is quite a change, but like you have to see it as like you're not yourself. So whatever you do on screen is for that person. It's like being another person. So you don't have to worry about embarrassing yourself because you're not yourself.
I think we've all got a dark side, haven't we? So I kind of focused on that, but I'm not really like that.
At the moment, it's a bit of a hobby for me, although I teach media anyway, but I teach more to do with radio and audio rather than film as such. But I do teach film students about the film industry. But obviously I'm still trying to learn how to make films myself and then maybe teach others.
Very old cruiser, bought very cheaply, is in serious need of doing up. The engine needs a good overhaul, which is why it kept on cutting out when we were coming up the river. But it does what we want.
And action!
There are some aspects, such as some of the clothing to my character that I would wear personally, but other than that, personality-wise, and the way he portrays his self to other people, I don't think I'm anything like that though. Or I hope not.
Well, yes, it was difficult in some respects because it was all technology and that never works properly. But once you got used to it, you just press record and it was done.
This is the most adventurous film that we've produced so far, but we are producing other films at the same time. We're in the middle of editing some films for the village of Welney about their molly dancing and history talks, and they've got a water gala coming up in July, so we're busy editing those. We've already made some short films for the local jazz club and one of the local bowls clubs, but we have plenty of options. We've had lots of suggestions of things we could be doing, including filming from the top of local churches and looking at interesting buildings in the area, so lots of things to come up.
Well, I directed the behind the scenes shoot on the first day, but I was unable to be there for the second day of filming, so my son Jonathan took over. He was already acting as director, telling me what to do, so he drifted naturally into it. It was a big responsibility for him as he was also doing most of the camera work as well. They seem to be able to pick things up at that age so much quicker than we do, don't we?
Well, I'd love to do the filming and photography full time because it'd just be so fun. I really enjoy being behind the camera and being in charge of all that technology. I think the most important scene was on the boat and filming of the boat because that took probably the most planning, and we had a chase boat and it was actually on the boat in the river. Anything could have gone wrong, but luckily it didn't.
Step a tiny bit to the right. Sorry, your left. Bit more, that's perfect.
Ooh, did I enjoy editing more or camera? I'd say the majority of my time has been spent previously with camera kind of related kind of stuff. I think I probably enjoyed the pre-production more, just because while I've done pre-production before, I took it on from a completely different angle with this. So with having more of a say of what was happening, I suppose everyone likes to have kind of a sort of a direction and a bit more control on the projects they're working on. So I'd probably say directing in terms of this occurrence at the moment.
And action. And Lucy. If you three can just stand there a bit so Steve can't get through. And then keep walking. Yeah. And when you're ready, action.
My background is in architecture. Photography has always been a hobby, so I was keen to learn as much as I could about filmmaking when the opportunity arose with the film club.
I mean, I don't really want to do filming as a living. I would just rather prefer doing filming as a hobby, like normal. If I have any spare time, I might make a short film.
Yeah, quite difficult because I say I haven't done anything before, and I wasn't a particular fan of drama in school, so it didn't come naturally.
The film club is certainly a hobby for me. It seems sometimes like it's my full-time job, but no, actually it is my hobby. It takes a lot of time. It is enjoyable, and I think it's something very worthwhile to do for the village and surrounding area.
Well, the positive was I got to take the boat out for a day for a reason, and got to see a film crew at work. The negatives were trying not to be run down by a very heavy steel narrowboat while trying to do what the film crew wanted me to do.
I really like using the cameras and normally just filming and that.
Well, my narrowboat's very exciting. It's a brand new narrowboat. I've had it made and the hull was built in Stoke, and then it went to Lancashire and it was built in Lancashire. And so I went every 2 weeks to see the build, and I've been involved in it all the way through. So all the colours, everything that's in the boat is the way that I have wanted it. So I love it.
The most important scene for me was in the pub car park because it involved quite a few different techniques, and we were using a camera jib to get a nice swinging shot, and we were also using some tracking kit to get some nice shots of Lucy when she came out of the pub. The downside of being in the pub was there was no beer in it.
There are a few things that I've learned, such as how to use some of the equipment and some of the sounding and setting up equipment. But other than that, it's just you either naturally, acting-wise, then it's just how to portray other people a lot better.
So for the other stuff that we're looking to do at the pub, we have Thomas taking Jonathan's Beano, Lucy coming out of the pub, Richard seeing Lucy leaving the pub, Richard sending a text from his car, Jonathan, we've got that, Lucy sitting in the pub, Lucy exiting the pub.
And you do that, you checked on Lucy sitting in the pub.
Oh,
you mean outside?
The pub is open.
Yeah.
He's open.
He's open the door. Yeah. Steve's driving in, but we need Richard's car there for that, so that's probably going to come a bit later.
The production team was able to use Well Hall for production meetings during filming and also for a well-earned lunch break.
The character is out of place, and it doesn't feel, it's not the natural place for the character, so it's not been too difficult because this isn't a natural place for me.
Well, this is my first time seemingly we're using like a professional equipment and all that, but it it's not my first time acting. I've always wanted to be an actor, so this is basically my dream.
Anyone can join the film club. We particularly want people from the area that the funding has been given to, which is the villages of Three Holes, Lakesend, Welney, Tipsend, Nordelf, Barroway Drove and parts of Upwell, which seems quite a fixed number of places, but the funding, the health lottery were quite specific about the funding should go to those areas.
Well, not a bit difficult, but obviously the scenes actually on the boats are a little bit tricky because obviously there's quite a lot of safety involved. We didn't want anybody falling in the water, didn't want any equipment getting dropped in the water, so we were a little bit concerned when we were doing those particular shots, but they all worked out very well, and nobody actually fell in the water, which was great.
From this project, I have learned some more types of filming equipment, how to preferably use cameras, not normal little cameras. I've learned how to use the big, more complex cameras and all the settings on them.
I have done, I'm not an actor, but I have done bits from school days. I've always been into amateur dramatics, but this is very different.
It's been really exciting having a film crew with me. They have all been really friendly, all very helpful, and it's been wonderful having them on board, and with the use of cameras in a very small area, actually going to be able to produce an amazing little film. So it's been a very exciting project.
Well, I'd just say, do it if you find it fun. Okay, if it's something that you enjoy, then you should do it. You should only do it there's no point doing it if you just find it as hard work, because it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable.
The positives were working with a really good team of people, young and old. The negatives was next time I need to bring an umbrella.
Well, there's no negatives as far as I was concerned. It was thoroughly enjoyable. And one of the things that particularly caught my eye was the more modern, very portable equipment, in particular the plastic tube track for the camera, because I'd only ever experienced the really heavy duty metal ones before. So that was all really interesting.
Okay, and action. Yeah. And then close suitcase. This one, this bit. Perfect.
No, I wouldn't be interested in acting. I really do not enjoy being this side of the camera at all. I guess one perk of being the editor of the behind the scenes film was that I could successfully cut most of the scenes that had a glimpse of me in them.
I think I did learn quite a lot because obviously experience that you learn loads, and I think doing it over and over again would make me so much better each time.
Do you have a fun fact people might not be aware of?
A fun fact. Cool. I'm a musician, which is how Steve and I met and how I came to be asked to do it. I don't know how fun that is.
Do you have a fun fact people might not be aware of?
I knew that was coming. A fun fact. Do I have a fun fact? If I do. A fun fact.
Do I have what, sorry?
A fun fact people might not be aware of.
I don't think so, no. Not to think of.
Do you have a fun fact people might not be aware of?
I can make my thumb, I have a double jointed thumb, so it can go in and out.
What was the most fun role you've ever played and why?
Bill Sykes in Oliver, because I got to be really nasty. Let's have a quick slurp while we're waiting.
Make sure you put it back in exactly the right position.
Oh god.
No, it's not in shot.
Continuity's sake.
Okay.
It's not in shot.
That's all right.
Carry on. Is that still running? These are the outtakes.